I have gotten a ton of questions about the Pixel Buds A series and how they compare to the second gen Pixel Buds that I reviewed last year. Those had issues with connectivity and updating the buds was a struggle. So my biggest question was if the Series A fixed those issues, even though they are way cheaper. Now these were sent to me as a part of Team Pixel, and I am happy to report that so far, I'm a fan. But before I get started on checking out these earbuds, I did want to thank today's episode sponsor, Crossclave from Spider Oak. Your data and your conversations deserve to be private and secure, whether you are collaborating with team members for your business, or you are chatting with the people that matter most to you. If you're at home or at work, you need a solution that you can trust. With Crossclave from Spider Oak, your data comes first with an uncompromised focus on security and privacy. That means whether you are chatting with friends and family via text, or you're sharing files with team members, calling someone in another country, or maybe you're making a video call to celebrate the holidays. Everything is encrypted before it leaves your device, so not even Crossclave can see what you're doing, unlike other file storage and sharing tools on the market. Crossclave uses top security and encryption technology, so those personal photos or important work documents are always kept private and no one can snoop on your chats, voice, or video calls. Crossclave is clean and it's easy to use with no trackers and no ads, with no one monitoring your data to sell you things. And the best part is they offer free, yes, you heard me right, free chat and video calling with no hidden fees and no fine print. Just 100% clear and reliable communications for a whole group or one-on-one. And for the nerds out there like me, yes, they do have a white paper and a data sheet on their website if you want to read up on how Crossclave works. Check it out for free by going over to spideroak.com/crossclave. That's spideroak.com/crossclave. Collaborate securely with the people who matter most to you with Crossclave. Now these are $99, and that is a huge difference from the $179 Pixel Buds 2nd Gen, and you do lose some features. For example, there are 2 color options instead of 4, with a choice being between clearly white or dark olive. These do not include wind reduction, and you lose the water resistance in the charging case, but the earbuds themselves are still IPX4 water and sweat resistant. These also lose the wireless charging, so you can only charge them via USB-C. There's also no swiping for volume control on the earbuds, and there's no attention alerts. But everything else is relatively the same, but do they work well? Yes, TLDR, yes they do. Yay, and the quality improvements speak volumes. Now these are Bluetooth 5.0 and I tested them on my iPhone 12 Pro Max and my Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 and my new Pixel 6 Pro. Whenever I was using them, I really enjoyed listening to music. They include a 12mm dynamic speaker driver and the bass is surprisingly strong while keeping vocals really crisp and clear. For example, I listened to The Weeknd and I really liked how the bass did not overpower the beautiful vocals, but they felt balanced throughout the song. I moved my head around a bunch, like back and forth and all over the place. I stuck my phone in both of my pockets. I walked quite a distance away from my phone in my household to test connectivity. I had absolutely 0 issues. They're so much better. These don't include any active noise cancellation, but if you get a solid fit in your ear, they do a fine job with passive noise reduction. So for example, I wore them on a plane over the summer. They sounded really clear, but I could still hear some muffled noises of the plane in my surroundings. I could hear the attendant, I could hear the captain. So if you want the best sound quality, definitely test wearing them with all the different sized ear tips that ship in the box. There's a small, medium, and a large. By the way, I wanted to say a huge shout out to Steven, Kevin, and Ambrosio4 on Patreon for becoming S'mores supporters this week. Subscribing to my channel is always the easiest way to support my work, but if you want extra perks and you want access to live streams that I do monthly, check out my Patreon page. Now these do have a spatial vent for in-ear pressure reduction and spatial awareness as well. That vent does its job really well, and I think the adaptive sound feature also helps with this. That is a setting that you can turn on and off, which will change the volume to fit your surroundings, whether you're in a noisy environment or a really quiet one. Whenever I have them in ear, they are really comfortable to wear. The size fits great. They are flush to the ear, so if you have long hair, you don't have to worry about accidentally pulling them out while you're playing with your hair or putting it back in a ponytail. They have a stabilizer arc, which keeps them from falling out because it sits within your ear canal, and they create this really great seal, which gives you that solid audio performance. Setting them up via Bluetooth is very simple. All you have to do is hold down on that button on the back for a second or two, wait for them to show up in your Bluetooth settings, and then connect. If you have location enabled, you can also take advantage of fast pairing on Android to connect them with a tap. The app lets you control all the features and turn them on or off. Plus, you can also see the battery life for all three of the components, the two earbuds and the case. And you can also do firmware upgrades, and the firmware upgrades are a lot easier with the new earbuds. Even though you cannot control volume through the touch sensors on both earbuds, you can control playing and pausing, activating Google Assistant, skip tracks or answer calls or hang up calls. The touch controls can be disabled in the app altogether if you don't want them turned on. I found the touch controls to be very easy to use, and they were not overly sensitive. And they responded to each of my touches with no problems. These do include those in-ear detection sensors for both of them, which you can also disable in the app. So if you are listening to music and you remove one of them or both of them, they will automatically pause the music. I thought that was a really cool little perk. You can control Assistant hands-free too, but I do wish that when I say the Assistant trigger phrase, that they would pause the entertainment that I'm listening to and then answer me. But when I say the trigger, the audio may pause for a second, but it continues to play in the background while Assistant is answering me. I think that that could be changed in an update, and I do hope that Google releases an update that pauses the entertainment while Assistant is talking to you, or else it just sounds like a crowd is trying to talk to you at the same time if you're listening to a podcast as well. Two voices at the same time, hard to decipher.
So I'm currently playing this video in my Google Buds A-series headset. So if I say, "Hey Google, what's the weather today?" I am hearing the weather in my head, and I'm also hearing the audio from the video continuing.
You can also use these with the Google Translate app to have a conversation with somebody in another language. Now, if you lose them, you can use Find Device to make them ring really loudly. It's absolutely loud. Don't do this while you have them in your ears. That would be very painful, probably damage your eardrums. Don't do it.
I dropped my earbud somewhere on this rug, and it's kind of camouflage, so I'm gonna find it with the app. The left one is missing. Let's see if we can find it. Oh, I hear it. There it is.
Yay, it worked. And I also wanted to talk about calling people. You can let the earbuds access your contacts, so you can call people through the buds and Assistant. If you are talking on the phone, they will last you about 2.5 hours on talk time. They do have dual beamforming microphones, and they sound really great. And the person on the other end had no problems hearing me. If I'm listening to music or podcasts or videos, they will last you a good 5 hours before you need to recharge them. The case will also give you 24 hours of listening time before the case actually needs to be recharged itself, even though these can only be charged via USB-C, and there is a cable included in the box. Thank you, Google. I think they charge quick. About 15 minutes of charging will give you 3 hours of listening time. I use these on and off during my trip to North Carolina over the summer, and I didn't have to plug the case into any cables to recharge it at all during my trip. That 24 hours of listening time, I believe, is very accurate. I used them for the 3-hour flight, both there and back, and randomly wore the earbuds anytime I wanted to listen to some music. So between those times, I would stick the earbuds in the case to let them chill and charge. In total, I would say I used them for that week for maybe 20 hours before I got back to Colorado. And once I got back to Colorado, then I charged the case. Now, speaking of cases, there aren't a lot of cover cases for the Google Pixel Buds A-series, but I do love this one, the one I've had them in the entire time. Nomad made this great leather case that costs about 30 bucks. It includes a little light pipe for the LED charging indicator on the front, and there's a button on the back, so connecting via Bluetooth is still accessible. There's also a lanyard attachment point and a wrist wrap included in the box, so you can add that if you want. And since this is made out of leather, it does develop a really beautiful rugged look whenever it gets worn in. The interior of the Nomad cover is microfiber, so it's not going to scratch your case at all as well. So I think these are a win. They are a great price. The loss of wireless charging would make me choose a different alternative, so if Google fixed the OG 3G Pixel Buds connectivity issues and introduced a higher priced option that included wireless charging, those would probably be my choice. But if you don't care about that, these are a great inexpensive option if you don't really need the wireless charging. They do last a long time, and they sound awesome. Thank you so much to Spider Oak for sponsoring this episode with Crossclave. Now, since I mentioned them, here's a link to my Google Pixel Buds review from last year, the second generation, if you want to compare with these ones, and here's a button to subscribe to my channel for more.